Hello.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great. Fine, thanks.
It's nice to talk to you. I think you're inside now, so we have a really good connection. I've been outside, so it's a nice break. It's raining.
Yes. Here, actually, as I told you yesterday, unfortunately, here we were having a rainy week, so it was not possible to do it outdoor.
Well, like I said, it's a nice break to have a good, clear connection. Hear you perfectly.
Yes, great.
Let's just jump right in. Can you tell me your background, how you got in the wine game? I'm not sure if it was but did you always wine? What was your education?
So, first of oops. First of all, considering I mean family business. Uh, my grandparent arrived from Italy, Trent, yeah, Trentino Alto Adige. It was the uh, boundary with Austria, um, and the extreme northeast of Italy. It was in 1876. He arrived here in Brazil. He was very young. It was 12 years old, and um, actually, I'm creating the whole thing to explain how I got into the business. Okay,
Hey,
uh, and then my grandfather, he was born and raised in this region where we are right now. It's a southern Brazil state called Rio Grande do Sul. Um, my grandpa started to produce his own wine. It was around 1929.
okay.
It was something very handcraft at the basement of his house, which is something very typical of the Italian immigrants. And by that time, he used to produce the grapes and sell it to the co-op of the region here. Yes, it was the first Latin American co-op called Cooperativa Vinícola Forqueta,
Okay.
which is like a neighborhood close to where the winery is nowadays,
Hmm?
and it was until 1970 when my father began the business as a real company, and unfortunately, my father lost his father very early. He was 50 something. My grandfather when he passed by, and then as rare fact, my father was an only son. So by that time, he realized he could start his own business, and one of his uncles called Frank, like Francisco, Portuguese, was a very big stimulator of him to start with his own business.
Hmm.
So he was very young. He was 16 by the time, and in a mess outside of the church when he was that age, my this uncle of him arrived to my father and told him, well, why don't you start your own business, because your father um, uh, gave you some good lands and taught you how to make wine,
Hmm.
and that's why I think you should start it. And he was kind of worried because as a young man, he was not that secure to start something by himself. And this uncle told him, well, as every beginning, you'll have some difficulties, but go for it uh, and try it. And so that's what he did. And so first of all, he began with a brand called JP, which stands for João Perini. It's like JP in English.
Okay.
Yes, in honor to my grandfather.
Hmm.
And by that time, Jeff, these early wines used to be table wines, you
Okay.
know, made especially with Vitis Labrusca. You know, here in Brazil we have many important grapes in this category, like Bordeaux,
Mm-hmm.
which I think it's not common, or at least is not known by this name in the United States. But the name Bordeaux here does have any relation at all with the region of Bordeaux in France. It's a Labrusca grape, American one, and we use a lot to produce some simple wine and also grape juice, which is very important here in Brazil. We have also Isabella, we have Niagara, Coder, Sable. All these are American Labrusca grapes.
Okay.
But by that time, we already had also some European grapes to produce fine wines, and probably the most important was Moscato. Okay, Muscat, which we still have a lot nowadays, and it's a very important grape for our company and our region where we are located. We had by that time Italic Riesling. I guess you're familiar to the grape, uh, and then arrived the Cabernet Franc,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 then everything started to get more and more complex in terms of different kinds of grapes and so on. It was 1996 when my father created another brand, okay, Casa Perini, especially for fine wines and sparklings. Yeah, and
New. Go ahead. New in the wine business.
yeah, sorry, I started to talk and
Go on.
forgot to to answer your
Sorry.
question.
Go ahead.
So considering the family business, nowadays it's my father, my mom, my older brother, and myself. And when I was a kid, I didn't think about being part of the business. I always loved the art world, so I used to make comic books. I used to draw with friends as
Mm-hmm.
a hobby, and I used to sell like amateur copies of these drawings, like a zine. And I had a lot of fun, and I was thinking about making business with that. And probably that's why I decided to study advertisement. So yes, so when I became a teenager, my 17 years old, I went to the capital of the state where we are located here, which is called Porto Alegre,
Mm-hmm.
to study advertisement special school, which was a very great experience. I could study there and also work in advertisement agencies for a while. And there's something that's kind of ironic, but I worked for a while as um, I don't know how to say in English, but I think it's when you work with the image issue, you know, you always have that double of creators, the one that's which is responsible for writing and the other for a image, and that was what I used to do. And I did some jobs for mates of other Brazilian wineries by that time. Yeah, which was a very nice experience. And then I worked as creation director in some agencies, advertisement agencies. I came back to the city where I live right now, which is Caxias do Sul, and it's a neighbor city by the side of Farroupilha, where the Casa Perini winery is located. It's a very short distance, and so I can go to the winery every day. Unfortunately, right now I'm on quarantine, so I'm staying in home office. But after that, I realized that these creation parts of the business that I used to work in the advertisement agencies and so on, which was nice, but at the same time, I thought it could be something that I might take as a hobby for the life, and
Yeah.
that's what I did. I decided to go to the winery and work with the family. And it was good, Jeff, because I could have the experience of knowing how it is inside the agency. So now on the role of a marketing in the company, I think I can with all the crew give good briefings for the agency and develop a good pack of the whole thing, you know, packaging, labels, and marketing actions, and so on.
One of the things I found in this, especially with small family wine, it's hard to make wine. It's hard to. The hardest part is selling your message out there. So it's very interesting that your advertising and marketing background very close to the family. Sure.
Yes, yes, and actually, Jeff, thinking about this part you're considering, first of all, my early interest was not especially the wine world. It used to be communication and everything about the concept and so on. And then I became very, very into the wine world specifically. So that's why I started to study about it and drinking wine every day, trying to experience it in a maximum level, because I like to go deep in what I'm interested in, and study it. So sure, when you were raised in a wine world, you observe it, even if you don't want. But after I decided to be inside a winery, I began to study some courses like the FISA. I don't know if it's popular in the United States, but it's an institution that graduates people in Somalia for the service part and everything, for consulting. And I was graduating on that. And then I started to study in the WSET, you know. And recently I finished the level 3.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it was very nice. I really appreciated the studies. And besides that, I like to study by myself. I make very often blind tastings with friends of brotherhoods and groups. And in the everyday work, I like to be very involved with the oenologist work. So he calls me every time he's deciding his assemblage, and whenever we have a new release, he calls me to chat about what varieties are we going to use, and the time we'll pass the wine through the oak barrels and so on. Yeah.
So could you give a very broad overview of the history of wine culture or history of wine in Brazil? Start with your great-grandfather's generation, and then how has that progressed, and what is wine culture like?
Well, giving an overview about it, Jeff, I'd say it began as a very small family business in kind of amateur work, very passionate, but amateur. I mean, there was no specialized people in terms of studies and so on. And by that time, he used to produce my grandfather on this handcraft style wine, but always with lots of worries and a lot of effort to make the grape the greatest grape he could. And he used to sell the grape and make some a very short, very small quantity of wine for his own consumption, and to give it for his friends, or even to donate for the church parties.
Right.
Okay, so that there are small communities here uh, where you have like a church with a name,
Mm-hmm.
a chapel with a community where people live their social lives with these typical parties, with uh, food from the region, from where they took their tradition in Italy. I don't know if you're familiar to that soup called capelletti al brodo. You know,
Huh?
it's yeah that so it's very nice, Jeff, because it's a blend of different cultures here in Brazil. You know, you have for example, capelete al brodo with the typical Brazilian barbecue, you know, in the same party, because you have influences of of many cultures.
Yeah.
You know, you have that galeto, el primo canto, and you have many different things. And I'm saying all that because this food part used to be since that time part of the wine world. So my grandfather produced this wine to use it in the parties of the community, and at the same time, after that, things start to change when other producers started to plant different grapes,
Mm-hmm.
and the market started to change. Okay, I'd say that's the early 70s and the 80s had
Prior to
huge.
prior to that, with your grandfather and back in the late 1800s, were there many wines and much of a wine culture back, or it was just all made wine?
Sorry, Jeff, your audio is cutting a little bit.
So back in the late 1800s and early part of the 1900s, was wine culture very much immigrants making their own wine, professional?
Well, in the uh, 800s, I think it was something very uh, for for their own consumption. You know, it was important as a culture, but not a major market.
I see.
Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. In the 900s, it started to become kind of different because they needed to build a economy. So trade started to happen, and that's the way it went. And as I told you, in 1929, around that, there was this first um, vineyards being planted by my grandfather in the very place where we are
Gotcha.
located. Yeah, so it's another generation, and nowadays, for example, Jeff, we have what we call the Taverna Casa Perini, okay, which is the restaurant we have nowadays where my mom cooks. Yeah, she has a crew of chefs that go there and cook the typical food that we have. And this taverna, the restaurant, used to be the basement of my grandpa's house where he used to do the first wines. And so we try to remain with all this culture. And jumping from 1929 and 1930, around that period, to the year 70 and 1970, where when my father started to produce his own wine, the whole scene was very different. So there was already some multinational companies coming to this region here, Serra Gaúcha in Brazil, which is responsible for more than 90% of the total fine wine produced in the country. And we had like Chandon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have this of their plants here. They have this unity for their sparkling here, and Maison Forestier, which is another multinational part of a big group, and they started to come, and it means something, you know. These companies, they are professional. They study terroir, they study market, and that started to create a whole new scene. The wineries started to invest in sparklings. Plantation of Chardonnay, Italic Riesling, as I told you before, and more recently Prosecco, Glera, and sure, and especially in the end of the 80s, the early 90s, there was another change, which was very big, because the national government at that time started to open the market for foreign brands. So that was that had a double effect, Jeff, because Brazil started to receive wines from our neighbors here, from Chile, Argentina, a little bit of Uruguay, and at the same time, the Brazilian wine industry could start to import equipments and work with higher technology. It was more flexible at that time because of the government investments on that. And actually nowadays, if you have the opportunity, it will be great to receive you here when this delicate period passes. We'll realize not only us, but many wineries here, they invest a lot on technology. The technologies are very professional, and there was like a jump, a very higher level position after that, because since the plantation of the phenomenon of Cabernet Sauvignon made all the market started to change, because until that time, Brazilians used to drink more table wine specifically. I don't know how Americans take the word table wine, but at least here it means wines that are elaborate with Labrusca.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we started with a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon, and then Merlot, and many different grapes like Marcelin, Barbera, Anchelota, Pinot Noir for sure, and that's the way things started to go more specialized in fine wines, and especially sparkling, because Brazilians terroir. I'm talking about this region where we are right now, Serra Gaúcha. It's very good for sparkling. The climate conditions and the soil is perfect for that. Yeah.
So I was wondering why off like Brazil. One of the first things I think of is sparkling. Can you talk about then the wines that makes and grapes that you grow?
Yeah, sure. So we're kind of proud, Jeff, considering Casa Perini, because we were the first winery to produce 100% Brazilian sparkling muscatel. And what means that? The first reference for that is Asti, Yeah, Moscato d'Asti, and especially sparkling. We started to produce it here, and it was a huge success. Especially talking about public, first of all, because Brazilians love sweetness and fruity flavors, and Moscatel is perfect for that. And it was a phenomenon, talking about the results in terms of sales and appreciation. And then we became more and more recognized as producers of Moscatel, not only the sparkling, okay, but many other derivatives from Moscatel, like the still Muscat wine, dry and semi-dry, dessert wine made with Muscats, even grape juice, yes, and so on. Frizzanti, and in the end of 2017, we had the very nice award as the 5th best wine in the world. Yes, according to a specialized concur no award, yeah,
Yeah.
because for people that don't know about it, it was a ranking that used to do like this. You send many samples, okay, to many different kinds of awards all around the world, and in the end of that same year, they took the best results of all these awards and then made a general ranking. And after that, we had the fifth position, so it was very important. Uh, and the spontaneous publicity we had on that was very good. But I didn't tell you about the specific varieties of muscat we use in that. I don't know if you're familiar to muscat R2, uh, the letter R and number two, which was developed by an Italian company specialized on vines,
Oh, okay.
which a very concentrated grape in terms of aromas and flavors. And then we have white muscat, which is very important. It came by the time of the immigrants, and it's curious because nowadays, even in Italy, they don't have it anymore. It became something very specific, and we also use the Moscato Giallo, which means like yellow muscat,
Okay.
and yeah, and it's a blend. So that's what we used to do these muscatels partly, and there's something interesting on it because we have the geographical indication for muscats in the city of Farroupilha,
Oh, okay.
and yes, and it's recognized by the International Organization of Wine. It was a very respectful work that they do, analyzing the terroir and many issues to agree to give this distinction. So we have a very high quantity of production. It's more than 50% of the total of muscats that are planted in Brazil. Okay, they come from this specific region here. The biggest number of different variations of muscats come from here too. The biggest number of awards for muscat derivatives come from here.
Okay.
And especially about the white muscat, I told you before, it was one of the reasons that made people, these technical people, realize we had a special thing about muscat. So it was, people told us it was kind of easy to make this recognition because we had many reasons for that. Okay, and then after this white sparkling muscatel, we released the first rosé sparkling muscatel. Yes, which we call aquarela is the name. It's what aquarela means, like watercolor, that art techniques. So you have that very light color of Provence rosé, and we use in the blend a grape called Hamburg Muscat. I don't know if you're familiar to that. Yeah, it gives a very nice aroma profile. Besides of the color, you get these flowery and citrus aroma like pomegranate and so on. Well, all these about the Moscatel, and we have brut sparkling too, Sharma method. Okay, the most classic is the Sharma white, where we use Chardonnay and Italic Riesling. Okay, which we can call like a Brazilian classic in terms of blend for sparkling, especially Sharma, because we have the Chardonnay, which is our concours for sparklings, and then we use the Italic Riesling, which is typical from here, and it gives a lot of flowery, white flowers aroma, freshness. It's very interesting, very versatile for pairing and even for happy hour sparkling. We have also Prosecco, for Glera grapes. We have a brut rosé, which is made with Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Gamay.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Gamay is something special. We think it gives a different feature. You get these berries aromas, very tropical. And we have a demi-sec, which is also Chardonnay with Italic Riesling. We have two different ice,
Yep.
I don't. Yeah, we have a white and a rosé that are elaborate to be consumed with ice, and then the traditional method. We have two labels made by the traditional method. Yeah, one is a Chardonnay with Pinot Noir, and it's 60. No, sorry. This one is 80% Chardonnay and 20% Pinot, and it stays in the autolysis and contact with the yeast for 36 months.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and the other is a nature, so it's 60% Chardonnay, 40% Pinot Noir, and this is 56 months in contact with these. Yeah. And there's one more, which is our Black Edition sparkling. So this is only in the end of the year we launch it, because it's a long Charmat. I don't know if that's a word in English. Long Charmat.
Yep.
Yep. And that's a Blanc de Blanc. So we use 100% Chardonnay on this one.
That's so cool. So fines. And you really take this in a whole breadth of it. Pretty exciting. We're at the half hour. It went so. We have to maybe talk again to learn more about. Fascinated by the Rinks wine in Brazil and the whole wine. Maybe have to get together again. But is there anything else you want to you should know about Brazil?
Oh, well, while we were talking here, Jeff, Barbara, which you got to know, that works in the exporting of our winery, she asked me to talk about the crudo. I don't know if you heard about it.
No, I haven't, but I saw that.
Yeah. So this is an authorial project that I created the last year, and crudo it means raw in Italian, and the reason it has this name in the brand is because it's a kind of alternate wine, I might say, because we don't filter it and we don't use many sulfates, so it's a low intervention wine. And there's a technique which we call a green cover on the field. It means we don't keep cutting it. We let the grass come as natural as it is, and this way the roots, they can get deeper, can go deeper in the earth on a way to get more complexity, and more hints, from the terroir. And at the same time, we always look for different origins of grapes and not usual blends. What means? I don't know if you're familiar to the grape Trebbiano.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a grape that used to be planted a long time ago here in the region. Like the same happened with Garganega or Barbera, and they unfortunately didn't used to be produced as varietals. And now there's a kind of a movement of a revival on that. And I took this Trebbiano to make a vinification on an old style, but with technology. I mean, I fermented with the skins, okay, like an orange wine, but controlling the temperature, okay. That stainless steel spinning tanks with temperature control, and it's passed like 10 days fermenting on the skins. And after that we made a good time, like 30 days of batonnage, okay. contact with the yeast
Hmm?
to make it more creamy, more
Wow.
complex. Yes, and then we bottle it without filtering. This is the white one, and then we have a red one, which is called Nero di Bianca, which was like a red and white. So it's a blend of Merlot and Muscat that are fermented together too, unfiltered. Also, it passes through a nice batonnage, and it ferments in the and the alcohol fermentation is finished, and the whole malolactic is done inside the oak barrels of second use for five months. So we get like a good micro oxygenation effect, and it's like a burgundy use of wood. It's not like that punchy vanilla or coconut hint, you know. And there's something special about this project, Jeff, which is the artistic concept. I made by myself paintings on the label, so it's not like scanned and printed mechanically. It's real paint on the. Yeah. Do you mind if I take to show you?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna do it.
No,
Very fast.
passion is evident. It's so cool. Uh, this is fascinating. He's so nice and clearly excited about this project. This Crudo project is very cool. Thank you, Bart.
So I took them in the kitchen. Sorry, because they're empty. You know how is the quarantine?
That's a good sign.
I already had it, but you see.
Oh wow! How many bottles do you have to paint? That's like a huge.
Yeah, it's a very hard work because it was like 2,000 bottles. Sorry, 2,000 bottles of each, 2,000 white and 2,000 of the red. But there's something that helps in some way, because I painted like a big canvas, you know.
Uh-huh.
For example, you see this part here?
Yeah.
It's all real paint, but here there's another label that used to be by the side here, you know. So it was like a whole cut, already cutted canvas, where I put everything on, and then it was like a sticker, so I could take it off and then started glue one by one. And it's a 3 pieces label. There's like this whole piece here with all the technical information and what's the wine about, you see. And there's specific on each bottle, and then this other piece here, which is the canvas, you know. And then in the end there's the logo covering all. That's
cool. Wow.
Yeah.
And it brings all your background of your artistic and your advertising and everything. That's amazing.
Yes, I'm very happy with it, because I could really make like a dream, you know, Jeff. Making come together the art thing I love with the wine and everything, and you can see all the bottles are different. Thinking about the label.
Wow, that is so cool. Thank you for that. That's super cool.
My pleasure. And there's wax on the on the top, and there's also the red, which is the same, but it's a burgundy shaped bottle, and you see the
wow, that's the project. Good for you. Thing. Wow. Well, to get down there, I'm going to have to try it. Maybe it might be the next vintage, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, it'll be a pleasure if you can come here so we can try together.
Well, Pablo, it's been so thrilling to talk to you. I learned so much. I have to go study some more, and then we're happy again after harvest and things calm down. So thank you so much. Thank your family and Barbara for getting us together. I really appreciate it. And Portolo, who came down there and originally had an article in Forbes, and what's where I learned about everything so much. Thank you, everyone, so much. It was really great to meet you.
Thank you, Jeff. I'll tell you the same. It was my pleasure. Whenever you need anything from Casa Perini, please make contact.
I appreciate it. You take care. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah. Have a nice one.
You too.